Hey, what is up, everybody? I am the Dharma Guy here with the Dope Doctor, and you are watching Dharma Time here on WPSN99.com. Today's a new day, a new time for some of you people. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel or listening via one of the many podcast platforms that we're on, this might not be a new day for you. Who knows? But if you're watching live, when we simulcast via Facebook Live, then yes, this is very much a new day for you. Part of that is because our lovely co-host here, the Dope Doctor. What is he, are you unlovely today? He's got some prior engagements for tomorrow. Some good ones, actually. He's going to go see family for the first time in a while, which is awesome. Congratulations. Hopefully everybody stays safe. And so consequently, we are moving the show. We were thinking either today or Wednesday, but some fireworks have been going off locally here. So we decided to do the show today and work that into our overall topic. The overall topic today is going to be compromise. And I'm going to just jump right into it, man, because I know you're chomping at the bit. So
Yes.
for those of you who normally watch, you know the Now Matters More Foundation, what we do, how to get a hold of us. The number's right behind him. Please feel free to call. But let's just get started, man. All right, so let me paint the picture here.
Yeah, you paint it.
I'll do my best.
Paint well, son. Paint well.
I'll do my best. All right, so we locally are dealing with some issues that I think nationwide many local communities are dealing with, and I'm sure they're all doing it differently in their own way. Even in our local way, there's many districts that are handling it differently. But the one we're talking about, should I mention the name? You want me to mention the name?
Yeah, you can mention the high school name.
It's Volusia County, right?
Oh, it's Volusia County in general.
And Volusia County in general, and more specifically, New Smyrna Beach High School.
Which, that's what I really care about, but all Volusia County is dealing with.
Which is where Louis' daughter is getting ready to graduate high school. And as many of you know, hopefully by now, we've got a pandemic called the coronavirus, or aptly known as COVID-19, that is very much still alive and still decimating our population as we speak. However, I think we're here locally in phase 2 of our reopening.
I thought it started phase 3 today.
I don't know. Could be. I haven't watched the news yet, but last I heard we were in phase 2. But regardless, because of the COVID outbreak, we originally started doing homeschooling for our kids. They were all going through computers and basically mobile learning or tele-learning, whichever one you want to refer to it as. And that led to the next big discussion, if you will, is many of those seniors, that was it. Like, a lot of them didn't get a chance to say goodbye to their friends. They didn't have that, yearbook signing and that kind of last hurrah, last day that many of us experienced and enjoyed. They did not get that, which in itself kind of sucked for many of them as it is. But then on top of that, many of them are not going to be able to experience the graduation, the actual walking of collecting a diploma and things of that nature. Many high schools have decided to start doing different versions of graduations to at least give them that. And what we're talking about today with New Smyrna Beach High School specifically, and Volusia County in general, and once again, in your own communities, by all means, if you live elsewhere and you're
I want to hear about it.
Please write in the comments and we'll address them and kind of anxious to hear what's happening in your community. But in our own community, we had over in Daytona Beach, a lot of the high schools there decided to rent out the Daytona Speedway. And that was a large enough facility to bring many, many people in and do it from a safe, social distancing aspect. New Smyrna Beach, on the other hand, has decided to not do that. They decided to do it indoors and then limit...
Volusia County.
They decided to do indoors and limit it to only 2 tickets per student graduating to
3.
come. 3. Oh, it's up to 3 now. Okay. And so basically, you told me it was 2. You said it was 2.
It was 3.
No, you told me it was 2.
For Spruce. No, never told you 2. So there's 3.
You were fired up. I think you misspoke, but you told me 2. But that's okay. Bottom line is, in his family, his parents would not be able to attend and watch their grandchild graduate. That's the crux of it here. We can argue semantics all day long, but the point is, he feels that number is too small and it's not leaving room for larger families to celebrate this very big occasion in their child's life, to be able to kind of be a part of it, see it, and kind of have this day to look back on as a remember when. So he called me up, extremely passionate, and wanted to have this kind of discussion and bring some light to it. potentially to cause some change. Who knows? And see if we have that kind of pull, maybe. But more importantly, to at least get it out there, and you know, it's a very real thing. We try to bring real stuff to our shows to talk about, because at the end of the day, you know, we're all dealing with things, and we all kind of want to have some insight and perspective. So that's what we hope to do here. But when he did call me, honestly, I'll admit I don't have a dog in the race, so it was hard for me to kind of get behind the idea, because I saw it kind of from both sides, aka the Dharma guy. Like I was in the middle. I understood both sides of it. I wasn't necessarily passionate to either side, but he obviously is passionate on one side, and I think you guys can all guess just by his facial expressions what side that is. And so he wanted to have a show. So here we are. We're having a show and we're talking about it. Did I paint that specifically enough for you? Was that a good assessment?
Not of your side, but okay, you were in the middle. Okay, we'll just say
No,
you were
I
in the
see
middle.
both sides. I don't care enough to get passionate about it. I'll be honest with you.
But it's not about seeing both sides. It's seeing both sides is one thing. Anyone can see both sides, but it's like
not everybody.
if you find it, well, that's the easy part. The hard part is choosing a side that the masses needs to go with. We don't vote in the middle. Like, I'm registered independent, but I don't go vote non-vote.
Sure.
You know, I vote for a side. So at the end of the day, whether you can see both sides, you have to choose a side so that movement can take place.
Well,
and so this particular case, I mean, obviously, I'm on one side heavily. Usually, I'm the perfect balanced Libra. Usually, I'm floating and I bounce and I bounce. But on this particular thing, I do have a dog in the fight, and I'm a little bit frustrated.
Yeah.
On this situation, because first of all, let's start. Haven't the seniors suffered enough? Haven't the seniors of 2020 gone through enough of a ridiculous time? Now, it's nobody's fault. I'm not blaming anybody.
But are we sure that they're all suffering, right? That's a very broad brush of painting it. Are we sure that the seniors are suffering? Like, I think a lot of them are kind of excited to not be in school. I think there's some that are suffering. I think there's some that don't care.
I don't think so. I think kids like me would have been okay with not being in school. But I think a lot of other people, like if you're an athlete and you were working towards something, whether it be a specific goal, a specific benchmark for your athletic career, yeah, you suffered a little bit. It sucked. If you were an athletic student, I mean, if you were had some tests coming up and you had to study for it, there's a lot of people that had some tests and their scores got stuck. It got stuck at a certain level. There's people that can't walk, like in New Smyrna Beach, like my daughter, friends of hers, that they had a test coming up. They can't walk in white because that test was postponed, and since the test was postponed, you couldn't take the test, and you have to take
walk
the
in
test.
white. What does that mean?
It's a whole. That's a deal.
Okay.
We don't
Never
have
mind.
to go.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, there's all kinds of little things that were to
Okay.
take place within the school year that by not having the school year, you got frozen at a certain spot in your academic life, and that was it. There was no upward mobility from that. Now, I'm a little frustrated in the situation because, first of all, I have parents that are of advanced age. Trinity, I'm 50, so you can imagine my parents are older than 50, right?
Right.
And when you're older than 50 and you've been looking forward to something, you've already couldn't see your grandkids for what 3 months, right? You couldn't see your kid for 3 months. And if you couldn't see your kid for 3 months, your grandkid for 3 months, you've been looking forward to it. They've been looking forward to it, saying, when is the graduation? It got put off another month. And I'm assuming that it got put off another month so that we could potentially gather, right? Wasn't that the goal? So that we
I
can
don't know. I mean, I would assume so, but I was not part of the.
All right, middle. Scoot away, middle.
Just being honest.
We wanted to put it away further to get further in the COVID-19 process. That's why it was moved from June to July. If you don't know that, then I'm sorry, but that's why it was moved from June to July. So it was moved into July, thinking that by July we would be able to do a little bit more gathering, right? Have people closer together.
It makes sense.
So now I got pushed to July. So yeah, makes perfect sense. Didn't argue that point. Where I became upset about it. Hey, what's up, Jada? What's up, Brandy? Brandy, I want to have Brandy on there. Jada, can you teach Brandy how to use Skype and tell her to find the Dharma Guy? And anybody that wants to join the show, by the way, find the Dharma Guy on Skype, send him a message, and we'll get you on during the show. Yeah, you'll do it. You'll be good at it. And so the point is that, so here we've suffered all this that I've suffered. I've had to play parent and play teacher. No, I haven't. Not like you.
I have.
Yeah, you had. But the point is that here we have my parents, that I want my parents to go to the graduation. Bottom line, this is, to me, it's all about my parents. It's a very selfish reason that I'm frustrated and upset. I admit it. I want my mom and dad to be able to go to this graduation. I know they've been looking forward to it for a long time. I know they've been waiting at their house for 3 months. They did all the rules right. They wore the mask. They wore the gloves. They stayed in home. They bunkered down. They didn't come out and visit. They lived without us visiting them. They did everything they were supposed to do. They were in fear of their lives like they should have been. And they still are. And they're still in safety zone, in safety awareness. However, for this graduation, they already had in their mind how prepared they would be to come to this graduation, how they would be distancing, how they would wear their masks, they would wear their gloves, they would stay away from other people. They would go home that very night if they had to, instead of spending the night like they normally would. They would come for the celebration and go. They had all that in plans. And then now we get a message that you can only invite 3 people for graduation. And look, that's our high school. Our high school is 3. I just read, look, parents are pimping out their tickets and selling their tickets and doing like scalping now for other high schools. So there's families that are saying, oh, in Spruce Creek, you can only get 2 tickets or whatever. So other high schools have less than 3. Right. So here I'm thinking that's horrible with 3. Other high schools have only 2.
And for full transparency purposes, and don't read into this, I'm just making sure we have all the facts correct. They are going to live stream this, though, correct? So
have you ever tried to explain to 80-year-old
you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer
my question. Have you
ever
tried to explain?
You didn't answer my question. You're getting hyped up. So join me in the middle here and just get facts. Are they going to live stream it?
Yes.
So will somebody have the opportunity to watch via live stream?
That is not even the same. Not even close.
I didn't say it was the same. See, now you're getting defensive.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm just saying that they will.
You're going off point. That's off point.
Just trying to put transparency purposes here.
That's ridiculous.
I know you're passionate. I can feel that. But we have to have some transparency.
The other day, I went to a funeral, and you probably watched it live stream. I chose to be there to support the guy's daughter who passed away, support the family and his daughter that passed away. Yes, did they live stream it? Yes, but I did not attend that funeral live stream. I actually went in person and went to that funeral. I totally understand the difference between live stream and not live stream. This is not a situation where we zoom it in. This is our child's graduation, and like my mom just said right there on Facebook Live, she goes, for some of the grandparents, it might be the last graduation they can see from a grand, and that's a fact.
Sure.
You know, and like I said, it's a you know, what does it say? It's the saying, yeah, wait until you become a grand. I know, I get it. I'm thinking for you, Mom. I mean, I'm already 50, and I'm older than you, Mom.
Sure.
I'm 50, but I think it's a problem. So hopefully, Jada, by the way, hopefully you're getting brandy on.
Sure, and me bringing that point up was not to illustrate a side that I'm on. That was merely just getting the facts out there, because that is going to be an argument from those who disagree with you.
Here's my counter argument to the live streaming. By the way, in a time period where we're so conscious of offending people who may not have the same capabilities as you, Trinity. Of your live streaming, and you have Wi-Fi and you have internet and all that. There's a lot of families don't have internet, don't have Wi-Fi. So to simply say, well, since we're live streaming, that's discounting all the families of Volusia County that may not have the finances to be able to have internet services or Wi-Fi. So how are they live streaming?
Yeah, and I guess my role in this show here is going to be devil's advocate, obviously. But
you better, because if not, I'll take it straight into hell.
That's fine. No, but I mean, I'm not trying to get it, because to be honest with everybody on here, I don't really, this is you guys' fight. I'm just going to be the moderator here.
Yeah.
But yes, I 100% understand that there is a difference between live streaming and in person. I mean, I think I would hope that everybody understands that there is a difference between the two.
Right. Right. And the 3 people, like Tanya said, only 4 people per family. No, it's only 3. So realistically, imagine a family, and by the way, they said they got the kids together to decide on this. Well, what kids got together and only has one brother or one sister? Not all kids only have one brother, one sister. Again, in a time where we're being so inclusive and worried about offending minority races, maybe in the average white family you have 2.2 kids or whatever, but there's a lot of kids of minority status that may have more kids. There's a lot of white kids that have more than 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. What about those kids? Do you have to decide which kids go to the graduation? What about parents that are divorced? Like me and Dana are intact. But what about if I was divorced with Dana and Dana had another husband and I had another wife? Which one doesn't go? Do they?
That's what would happen in my situation. If Destiny or Trinity were to graduate, then my ex would want to bring her current husband, and I would want to bring my current wife.
Right, and that's not fair either, because why can't the new wife and the new husband get to celebrate in that event? They all should be able to go.
Sure. I
And Trinity, the point is that we have 3 months to do this. I'm not upset because there was always these rules. These are brand new rules that we knew we were in COVID-19. We knew 3 months ago we were in COVID-19. We have a Daytona International Speedway. We have a large racetrack in Volusia County. And we allowed Flagler County schools to have their graduation at the Daytona International Speedway. And when I talked to in the superintendent's department here of Volusia County, they said, well, it's because they only have 2 high schools. We have, I think she said 7. I'm like, that's even more reason why we should use the Volusia County Speedway. It holds 100,000 people. So I'm not saying we have to have 100,000 people there.
Do we know how much that would cost?
I bet you Daytona International Speedway would probably donate it, but we're already paying $3 a ticket. So $3 a ticket for all those people, I guarantee you with the amount of publicity Daytona International Speedway would get from the situation and from everybody's pictures and everybody's photo ops and all the social media that all the kids do, it would be well worth.
And do we know that these conversations weren't held?
Yeah, the lady told me that it would involve too much. It would be that for that many schools, it would be too much.
And
then I kept on the issue, and then she actually told me I need to speak to somebody else. That it was above her pay grade, pretty much.
I guess that would be here's the approach that I personally am taking on this, right? Full disclosure, I did a poll here in my own home just to get some ideas and where everybody stood on the issue. And from a spiritual perspective, obviously, my first thought is we gotta have to compromise somewhere in the middle, right? Because I understand both sides of the equation here. I understand that because we just had locally, we had a restaurant or a bar or something like that I think it was in Altamont that opened up. And everybody got sick, so they had to shut it back down. And our numbers are going up on a daily basis. And so, being in charge of schooling, if they do have this event, and over half of them come back sick, and some of them pass and die, the outcry is going to be, why did you let this happen? And so I understand their perspective of trying to do the right thing here. Now, granted,
you're assuming that that's their perspective. I don't believe that.
You're doing an awful lot of assuming yourself there.
No,
man.
because a larger venue has because the Speedway has 100,000 seats.
But you don't know if they talked to them. You don't know what those discussions were having.
The convention center they're talking about has 30,000 seats.
You're not being very balanced right now.
No, you're acting like there's 1,000 people in a small area. Dude, I know how big the Speedway is.
Yes, but you don't know what conversations took place. You don't know what people are feeling. You are upset, and you're filling in the narrative right now because you're passionate about your stance.
No, Trinity,
and you're trying to make your point.
Trinity, she said the students voted on the
She also said it was above her pay grade.
No, she said the students voted on doing nothing different than every year past.
Right.
She said a select group of students were selected by the principal, I think she said, from each high school. So the principal had a chance to select a select few students. Mm-hmm. And those select students, she said, are the ones that decided that it was to be done at a certain place. Nothing different. They wanted nothing different.
Sure. So can I get my point out now?
What I'm saying is that none of that stuff that you said was discussed. It wasn't discussed.
That's enough? Is that what we're doing now? Okay. So let me get my point out. My point is, where I'm coming from is I think that there needs to be a compromise, right? I think that the Volusia County schools needs to open up and be a little bit more transparent. They need to involve not only a select group of kids, but they need to also involve parents. And you can't have all parents. You maybe have some sort of an open forum, but you and I both know if you open up all, then you're going to get outliers, you're going to get crazy, you're going to have to fin through everything. So I think there needs to be a little bit more transparency. They need to either have discussions with alternate places to open it up a little bit, or if they've already had those conversations, explain why they can't work and open it up. You going to keep interrupting me? All right, so
smart ass, just talk, man.
I'm trying, but you keep talking because you're being very
because I've already answered that, and I've already answered that, and you
haven't answered anything. You've answered your perspective on things. And
no,
I get that.
I've answered exactly what the lady said. She said a group of people. Trinity, don't Dharma time me, man.
This is Dharma time.
But don't play that game with me.
There's not a game.
I told you. She said specifically that the students voted on it. and you
Sure.
keep on acting like, I'm in the middle. I could see their perspective needs to be compromised. Of course, there needs to be compromise.
Yeah,
Of course, there needs
that's
to be
what has to
compromise.
happen.
But
But
that's not what
compromise
happened.
doesn't mean
That's
doing it
why we're
your
having the
way.
show,
But
because there was
compromise
no,
doesn't
not
mean
my
doing it
way,
your way.
not my
And
way.
compromise
There was
also,
no, there
you're
was no
implying here that you
compromise.
have all the facts, and you don't have all the facts.
I
You
never
have
said I
you
had
have
all
the
the
facts that
facts.
one
I,
person told you on one phone call
from
that
the deciding
admitted to you that
place,
she admitted
from
to
the
you it's
deciding
above her
place.
pay grade. And so I get
No,
it, you're
but she
passionate, and you're
admitted she
allowed to be
couldn't change
passionate,
it because it
but
was
your
above
passion
her.
is also making you be a little bit unreasonable at times and overbearing. Even right now, you're interrupting me numerous times. I get it. Be passionate. Nobody's telling you not to be, but that passion, unbridled, and this is an example of it, gets no point across, right? And so a group of angry, pissed off parents, rah, rah, rah,
Yes,
does
yes,
nothing, right? And we're
yes.
watching it with the riots right now. It's not really going to work. All it's doing is pitting people against one another.
It's
So instead
actually
of having
working.
people who are on your side, you're alienating people. And so don't do that. Be part of the solution.
No,
So you're
what I'm
wanting
saying is,
them to be compromising and understanding, but yet you're not.
no,
And
no.
so if I was in the public attendant, like the superintendent, and I had a group of parents coming to me trying to have that kind of a competition, I can understand how I'd be like, you know what, screw you. Oh well, I can
Tony,
understand that. But you're coming as if you've got all the facts in the narrative. What I'm saying is both
see,
sides need to come to the table.
that's when I keep interrupting. Every time you say
You
that
don't know
I'm
all the
saying that I
narrative,
have
bro.
no. Every time you say that I'm acting like I have all the facts is when I'm interrupting you. No, I do not have all the facts. What I have is the superintendent's office telling me how it was decided. It was decided. The compromise was not a compromise. It was a decision from a small select group of students. That's what I'm saying.
But you
They
don't know
needed.
who those students were. You don't know how they were selected.
I don't
You
need
don't know
to.
how many there were.
Need to. I
Huh?
don't need to.
Why not? That's a fact, right? Like shouldn't you have all the facts
That
before you
fact.
start
I
to
don't need that
run
fact to be
headstrong?
excited about a decision. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need
Okay,
to know how a law was created or how a rule was created or anything like that. I'm allowed to have an emotional feeling about
absolutely,
something, vent that
absolutely.
emotional feeling, and when I find out that, wait a minute, I'm not only sitting alone with this film. There's a whole group of parents that are trying to navigate how they're going to do this whole thing. There's a lot of people frustrated. How are so
Sure.
many individuals, the voices of a school, the ones who actually promote the voices of the school, how are they so upset and frustrated about it and nothing is being done? And then I call the superintendent's office and find out, well, they're confused. I don't. How it happened was the schools, a select group of students made this decision. And oh no, we can't use this we can't use a larger space. We have to use a smaller space. Why? Because it's easier to contain. But another school, another county with less students was able to use a larger space. What I'm saying is that in itself, that little piece right there, when I was like, how did two schools get to use a larger space and seven schools have to use a smaller space? How does that make sense? And that's when she was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know how
Exactly.
that makes sense. So,
That's
so what
kind of
I'm
my
saying,
point.
no, that
Yeah, my
wasn't your
point is you don't know all the facts, and so without knowing all the facts, it's kind of premature to get that emotional about something.
bullshit.
I'm like, see, this is what's happening right now
I
with a lot
get
of the rioting stuff, right? You're taking somebody who is legitimately on your side, but you're alienating them to where they're no longer on your side.
Wait a
I'm
minute,
on
time
your
out.
side. I think that they
Whoa,
should
whoa, whoa,
have
whoa,
a
time out,
negotiation. I think there should be
time
compromise.
out. You forget you and I had a conversation
Yeah. Oh,
before
I
this,
don't give a
so
shit. I
you're
don't have
not
a
on my
kid.
side on this. So time
Yeah,
out.
I am. I
Don't play
am.
the cameras on
No,
because
I
you're
am
not
on your
on my
side there,
side.
bro. I think that they should have a compromise. Fuck, the
Ah,
name of the show is
all right,
compromise.
all right.
Do I care? No, I don't have a kid in it, so I really don't give a shit. Do I think it's a big deal? Not really. No, I don't think it's a big deal.
Right.
However, fundamentally, I think compromises need to happen. When two groups see things completely opposite from one another, you have to meet in the middle, find some sort of common ground, and figure out something logistically that works for everybody. That's
Yeah.
the side that I'm on, and I think that
Yeah.
agrees with you in the sense of
Yeah.
they need to come
No,
to the table and
I'll,
renegotiate.
I'll, I'll play counselor right now
Smaller
too. I can
picture,
play
do I give a
counselor like
shit?
you'll
No.
play Dharma Guy. Then I'll just. You're right, Tony. Absolutely.
No, I mean you can be passionate, but you're not going to bring me into your passion because I just don't have the same passion that you
I
do
didn't want to bring you into the
in this
passion.
particular subject.
I
But
didn't ask to bring you into the passion.
me being on your side in the sense, I'm not on your
I
side
don't
and
want you on the
thinking
side.
that
That's
they
not
need to do this
that's
and they
not the
need to do
point of
that.
this.
No, I'm on the side of, hey, they need to be more transparent. There needs to be some sort of compromise here. They need to explore other options that satisfies the needs of both sides. Because they have logistical sides, they have legal sides, they have public opinion sides. You guys have wants, needs, desires, and those have to meet in the middle somewhere. And that's never going to happen if both sides are just sitting there pissing each other off. Like even in this situation, we're not really making any ground because you're just arguing with the things that I say because you feel like I'm disagreeing with you when I'm actually agreeing with you. But
You're not. Don't talk down to me. And
I'm
no,
not.
you're not.
I'm not
And I'm not
talking
asking you to
down.
agree with me, but don't talk like that to
Nobody's
me, man.
talking down. But you're like really upset right now, and I get that.
But
You're
you already knew
more
that. But you already knew that.
sure.
And yet this is how you choose to have the conversation with me, knowing I'm pissed off about this. You know how I feel about this, and you know why I feel like this about this. You know why I'm feeling like this.
Yeah, and you're entitled to feel that way. Nobody's telling you not. But I'm not going to like justify it or be okay with it. That's your thing, by all means. But
I've never, I
I'm not
don't
joining the
care
pool.
about that part of it. And I don't want you to join the pool. Trinity, I agree to do this with you on this right now. You knowing I'm this upset uh,
Sure.
because of some of that. I like the cooler head on this because you know I'm passionate about this. But when you start talking in a way as if, oh, I see this, just the way you're talking and you're not,
That's how
you're
I
not
see it.
seeing it.
That's how I.
That's not the way this conversation went 15 minutes ago. But that's okay. Ashley, just to let you
But you
know,
had me do
my kid,
polls.
time out, time out. Ashley, I didn't have you do poll. You
Yes, you
chose to do
did.
a
You
poll.
told me to take a
Ashley,
poll. You told me to call my
Mike,
mom and talk
I'm
to my
talking
wife,
about
talk to
senior
my daughter.
graduations. Senior graduations are happening. Um, our child happens to go to a school that's not going to be able to have more than 3 guests at her graduation. I don't like it. My parents have waited a long time to watch this graduation. They are afraid that they're not going to make another graduation, so they want to be there. And I get it, and I want them to be able to be there. But because of the way everything is going, instead of adults planning in advance like they should have, adults definitely had 3 months in advance notice. We've been talking about this graduation for 3 months. Volusia County's been talking about this graduation for 3 months. Our high school alone has been talking about this graduation for 3 months. We all knew that we were not going to be able to have a graduation, and luckily there at least still is one. I'm pretty frustrated about the schools that actually didn't do a graduation at all, like Harvard and things like that. Just didn't even have one, from what I hear. But this school is at least going to have one. Volusia's going to have one, but they're having all these rules attached to it. Well, what I'm saying is we happen to live in a county that has a lot of outdoors, and so it's very different than a lot of counties. We have beaches, we have a lot of outdoor situations, we have large football stadiums, we have the Daytona International Speedway, and they actually use the Daytona International Speedway for another graduation, for another county's graduation. Now, mind you, the Daytona International Speedway is the largest place to have events in Volusia County, which is the county that I'm talking about. That's the county that we're in. It's the largest venue in our county. So to not be able to use the largest venue in our county, an outdoor venue in our county, to do this graduation for more schools doesn't make sense. They used it for another county with less schools and less students, but they won't use it for this one, and instead of taking any responsibility, they're claiming that the students decided on that. I find it very unlikely that that's truth. I think it does need to be investigated. My perspective and my point actually is that should be investigated. This entire thing should actually be renegotiated, and they should include PTA. They should include the student government. They should include a group of all of the people involved, and then have this decision, not just a small pooling of students who we don't know who they pulled to have this conversation, and then try to act like we decided on it. Our mayor has already jumped in before because our school wasn't even going to do the parade that we did not too long ago. We did it a couple weeks ago. Apparently, our mayor is the one that pushed for that to happen because the school itself wasn't doing something for these high school graduates on their last days of school. It's just like, oh, school's over, bye-bye. But luckily, we have a mayor in this city that actually decided differently and chose to celebrate them a little bit more. But what I'm saying is that, yes, compromise is needed. But we need people at the table. We need to have a seating at the table, and we need to have a discussion in order for there to be compromise. What I don't like is invisible decision to be made. And it is invisible because how are all these parent groups not aware of how this happened and how did it happen so fast? Why weren't they brought in? That was my point. And that's why I was getting frustrated because you're acting like, well, you don't know this, you don't know this. No, nobody knows this. That's the problem. That all this happened in a vacuum when it should have happened in a compromise.
That's kind of what I said at the beginning. I said that there needs to be some transparency. There needs to be compromise. But as far as who did what and why they did and whatever, we don't know. We don't have an official statement. We have a phone conversation. I'm not going to pretend that I know all the details when I don't. I've literally had like a 5 minute conversation with you on the phone about this, and we were told we were doing it. So no, I don't have a dog in a fight. If they have the graduation or if they don't, it's not really going to impact my day whatsoever. So from my stance, I'm on your side in the sense I agree we should have compromise, and I think there needs to be some transparency. But at the end of the day, is it going to impact my day if we don't have it? No, it's going to impact yours because you're directly involved. But I guess what I'm saying is from a spiritual perspective, right? Since that's what we're doing here. When this is a classic example of when somebody's emotions get so into something and they're so fired up about it that their message can kind of get lost and you can alienate people because instead of you realizing that I am on your side on this one, you were fighting me and then turning me into like an enemy. So now the conversation became more about you and I disagreeing on semantics than the overall point. And that's what happens when we start to allow our emotions to get away with us. That is why I try to go the Dharma route in the sense of there's got to be a middle way. I do see both sides. I'm not going to pretend like I have all the facts and what they did and why they did it. I don't know. And I think that that needs to be put out. So I'm not going to form an opinion, either positive nor negative, until I know all the facts involved. I don't know who did what. I don't know why they decided it. There might have been very good reasons. There could have been discussions that have been had that I'm unaware of. Who knows? I've been in
But
politics. I've been in other different jobs and stuff where I know there's a
Eric,
lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes, and they very well could have a good reason for it. And if they do, I'd like to hear it. If they don't have a good reason, then I think that's unacceptable, and there has to be some sort of
hold on.
accountability there. But I'm on your side in the sense of, which I said at the top of the show, there has to be transparency. We need to hear, bring other people to the table, people who have more insight, I guess, into the situation. We can't bring everybody, obviously, because I don't know how many graduating students and how many parents, but there's going to have to be, we are a democracy, so therefore there are some people that speak for the greater. We have one president. We don't have, 3 million presidents. So I get the idea, but I'd want to know who that group is and what that group is made up of. I agree with you that I think there should be some sort of PTA, some parental people on there, with some official people as well, maybe even some students. But at the end of the day, to me, that's what compromise is all about. Is when you are going to compromise, the vibe of compromise is two people with two opposing sides coming together to find a common ground. But when the people on those sides are arguing amongst each other, then it's impossible to find common ground because you can't even stop fighting with each other. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now with some of the riots and some of the protests. There's people out there wanting to protest while some people are rioting. Meanwhile, the whole message is starting to get lost. And so I think in this particular situation, you and I spent the better part of the show already arguing with each other about who's right or who's wrong or who agrees or whatever, when in all actuality, I'm on your side on this one. I agree that transparency and stuff is happening. Do I care? Not really. I don't have a dog in the fight.
I don't, I
Like,
don't, I don't, I don't see opposing. I don't think we're arguing that. I think we're arguing.
okay.
I don't like the tone, and I don't like the style in which you chose to say what you said, and that's why. But I'm open enough to say it. That's all. I'm just open enough to say it. We're big boys. We can handle it. Like I said, I'm in a vulnerable position because I'm emotional about it. So
Sure.
I'm already in a vulnerable position. So I'm already putting myself out there in a way that normally people, when they're in this situation, shouldn't be online. They shouldn't be showing it off. What I feel. I say, when you're feeling something, back away. Don't send the email. Don't write it. Don't call them because you're emotional about the situation at the moment. However, I told you, let's do it. Let's go live because I have no fear about that. There's a lot of people feeling the way I feel, and I'm a human. I'm a human being that has feelings and emotions about something. And damn it, and just like Ashley is saying, there's a lot of people that they're not compromising. By the way, Ashley, what I see, a lot of people, they're not compromising. What I see actually is people just letting people just roll over them, just like you're saying. They're just letting people
Yeah, I'm gonna put
do
her
do
thing on the screen.
do
It's a big
bad, I
one.
guess. And I don't even like to use the word bad, but you just like to, people to do disobedient things or do destructive things and all that kind of
So
stuff. So
for
there's,
people who aren't watching the Facebook Live thing, let me say this is what Ashley's comment was.
all right.
This is and has been also confusing for so many people. I see so many conundrums. Bars open, no playgrounds open. Trump rallies, no graduations. Everyone should be involved in decision making. We need to be asking the people involved how they feel. I tend to be a bulldozer because of my passion. It's sometimes difficult because compromising can often feel like self-sacrificing. Love you both. Love listening to you both. Thank you for speaking about difficult things. Right back at you, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is oftentimes the fear in compromising, right? Is I hear too often people assume compromising means settling or giving up.
Yeah.
And while yes, I think sometimes that is the case, but I think that the skillful approach to compromising is you have to decide what are your kind of bottom lines that you have to have. There's wants and then there's needs, right? Needs over wants. What do I need and what do I want?
Yep.
And you come to the table typically with what you want, as long as you walk away with what you need. And I think that if that's the approach that you take,
Yep.
you're going to walk away from most compromising type of situations doing pretty
Right.
good. Now, if you do start to give away what you need, then yes, I agree with Ashley that you are being bulldozed, and you are kind of giving
Right.
up a little bit. And I'm not an advocate for anybody to feel like they're being bulldozed or given up.
Right.
But I do think that everybody has to have an honest discussion with themselves when they approach situations and figure out what is it you want and what is it that you need. Because there are different. You're not going to get everything that you want, man. Because
Nope.
if you're on one side and the other team is on the other side, and you all have wants and they contradict one another, something's going to have to give. That's the idea of compromise. I give a little and I take a little. There's an old saying that basically, if two people walk away from a negotiation happy, it went wrong, right? Because you should both walk away a little pissed off because you both
That's,
had to give up some things that you didn't want.
that's my point. They're not getting anything. That's my point. The seniors aren't getting anything. They haven't been getting anything. That's my point.
Yeah, I'm not well versed in. I mean, I don't know all the details. I would argue, just to play in the devil's advocate, they are getting a graduation, whereas before they weren't. Is that enough? I don't know. I mean, it's up for. It's not my debate to have if it's enough or not. You
What do you
know,
mean before they weren't?
they canceled the graduation period at one point. They
No,
said they
they
weren't going to
didn't.
have it. Last I
No, they
heard.
didn't. No, they didn't. They always said that they were going to postpone it. They never canceled it.
Okay, I mean, I don't have all the facts, man. But I would say that is it enough? I think, to be honest with you, I think what happened is I think that the school board underestimated the passion of everybody involved. I think they tried to make a very quick and easy decision. They tried to go through normal routes, and this is not a normal time. And I think it kind of blew up in their face a little bit, and now they're trying to, figure out how best to handle it. What that's going to end up looking like, I don't know. But do I believe that there's any malicious intent? No. I honestly think it was ineptitude or oversight. That's what I think happened. I think it was.
I don't think anyone is claiming malicious intent
I
here, though.
didn't say you
So,
did. I
so,
didn't say you did.
so I
But
don't.
what I
I
am
don't.
saying is, I think it was oversight. I think that is it right and justified for people to speak their passion and step up and say that they have an issue with things? 100%, absolutely. Do I think that the Volusia County should listen and should kind of maybe reevaluate some things? Yes, I do. But what that looks like, I don't know all the inner workings of them. I would, from the outside looking in, I would say it looks like having some sort of a round table, bringing in select groups of people who have representatives come together and have an open dialogue and figure out what to do with it. Because I'm all for negotiating. I don't think that it's the best decision to have a bunch of people in an enclosed space. So if that's the only location for them to have it, I agree with limiting the amount of people coming in. However, if there's other places that they could have it to where you could expand the amount of people in attendance while maintaining social distancing and not putting people's lives at risk, then I think that should be explored. And what I'm hearing is it sounds as if they either didn't explore that or they weren't open in their path that they took to exploring that. And so, I think that needs to be brought out for sure. And I think that's what people would want. If there's valid and justified reasons for them not doing so, I think most people would be satisfied with that. But if you're not given a reason, it's hard to say if it's valid or not. Silence is typically not a good negotiating tool there.
I agree with you, Ashley.
What did you say?
I think that sometimes agreeing to disagree offers no solutions. I
I agree
completely.
too.
I think that's why in many areas, and not all areas, because I don't think all the protests are the same in our country. I think some protests are more valid than others. Some are more effective than others in the areas. And I think that, and I'm separating protest from riot, by the way, or from occupation. I think protest, occupation, and rioting are three different things.
Yeah.
Um,
Is that what they're calling the
so,
Chaz thing? Is an
so
occupation?
I'm calling it an occupation. I don't know what they're calling it, but they're occupying an area, so I'm not calling that a protest.
Sure.
That's occupying. But I think all those three things are different. But I think that in the frustrating thing as a parent of anyone graduating right now in this moment, or a family member of someone graduating, is that there's already been a lot of accommodations, and that was all accepted, and everybody accepted it. I was very proud of the seniors and how they've accepted it, because they're the ones that were affected most by not having the full senior year. It's the families, I think, that are more affected by the graduation ceremony not being had. Much like I think a funeral is more about the living, I think graduations are more about family.
Sure.
Now, we may all say it's for the kid, we want them to have the graduation, but never having had one, it's like if you've never seen snow, you don't miss snow. It's hard to miss it the same way that somebody really misses it once you've had it. Being a person that fought to be at his graduation to make sure that happened, and knowing that so many people never got one or will never get another one, and for sure, being a son of parents that love celebrating our accomplishments, their kids' accomplishments, their grandkids' accomplishments. We're a very tight family, and every celebration of any movement forward or any advancement is a big deal in our family. It's a unification time and a celebration time, because that's how we give each other that positive reinforcement that says we're a family, we love you, we support you, and that's how it's done in our family. There's a lot of families like that, so every family like that gets it, and they understand what's going on right now.
Sure.
The problem with this scenario is that we have a lot of families that are now all over Facebook negotiating how to purchase and sell their tickets. And it just seems really awkward. It seems like we're all trying to go to like a Billy Joel concert. It seems like a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds are all like saying, "Oh my God, Elton John's coming to town." You know what I mean? And it's like trying to figure out how to navigate going to an Elton John concert. Why should we be playing with our tickets like this? And why should we have to go through all this when, as adults, we all had plenty of time? We've watched this play out this is not a new thing. COVID-19 is not new. It's here, it's present, we've dealt with it. Volusia County has dealt with it better than most counties. We actually have very low numbers in our county. Our county's doing phenomenally well compared to so many other counties, including yours, Trinity, which is a disaster area compared to Volusia County.
Mine was the number one zip code.
Right. So our county has done very well. So how come the leadership in our county of the school board, not all the other leadership, because apparently our hospitals did phenomenal. Apparently our police departments have done phenomenal. Apparently our local governments have been done really good. But the school board hasn't been able to get creative enough to figure out how to do this in a better way. When we live in a world of outdoors, Florida is the world of outdoors. Florida is all about outdoor living. There's nothing about indoors in Florida. If you're here in Florida, your whole lifestyle is catered to the outdoor living. If you're an indoor person and don't like the heat in Florida, it's almost like everybody's looking at you and going like, "Why are you in Florida?" Because this is not the state for you.
No, it's not.
And so I had to change when I came here. I didn't like the outdoors, didn't like the sun, didn't like the heat. I hated all of it. And little by little, I adjusted, because Florida is all about the sunshine. And I got it. Oh, that's why it's called the Sunshine State. Got it now. All right. So yet here we are with the graduation, and it's all about closed-in small space. And I would love to know, how come we just can't do it differently? We got a month until this graduation. The reason I wanted to talk about this on this Facebook Live is because we got a month until, right? So we have plenty enough time, whether we start going on, as tickets go on sale tomorrow or not, we got plenty enough time to push whatever commissioners need to be pushed, whatever superintendents need to be pushed, whoever those people are, whatever principals need to be pushed, whatever mayors need to be pushed. We need them to reinvestigate the situation and ask yourselves, do you think you're making the right decision by making our seniors pick which 3 family members, and in some high schools 2 family members, get to go to their graduation? Is it fair to the grandparents? Is it fair to the family members, the cousins, the other people that get inspired, by the way, by a graduation? Sometimes a little cousin, a little nephew, they may not be interested in going to the graduation, but they go. And they might get inspired to, one day I'm going to walk that stage and I'm going to graduate. Do we limit that number? Do we even know the impact of that number? No, we don't know the impact. We don't know the impact of limiting it to 2. We don't know the impact of limiting it to 3. But you're afraid of the impact by allowing more. You're afraid that COVID-19 out of control. Look, you're afraid of affecting people's civil liberties by saying we can't force people to wear gloves. We can't force them to wear masks. So you're going to protect their civil liberties on that, but you're not going to protect the civil liberties or the liberty of a person to saying, I would like to have as many people at my graduation that arena or that auditorium or that racetrack or that high school can manage. If it can hold that many people, then we as adults should be able to make that decision whether we want to go or not. You want to make us wear gloves, make us wear gloves. You want to make us wear masks, make us wear masks. But you want to make us be 6 feet apart, that's fine. You want to have a person each family 6 feet apart from the next family, that's fine. Figure it out. But we're adults with a lot of auditoriums. We're adults with a lot of venues. And the biggest one that I know of in the entire state of Florida, Daytona International Speedway. I don't think there's a bigger venue in the entire state of Florida. And it's right here in our county. All I'm saying is let's get creative about it. Let's figure it out and do something about it. What I'm frustrated about is that it's happening like bang, bang, bang. And everybody I've asked, and very involved parents, we're all involved families. Nobody seems to know how the hell that happened so fast and why it was decided so fast, the way it was decided. And all of a sudden we're being dictated to as if this is the way it's going to be and there's no option. Well, that's not acceptable. And we're not the kind of people that are going to go out there and stand with signs and sit there. It's not going to happen. But what we are going to do is we're going to vote, because this is what good parents of children do. Our voice doesn't need to be. We don't need to go picket. What we're going to be able to do is we're going to go to the voting poll and we'll vote for the people that hear what we're saying and vote for the people that are willing to accept this compromise. And the compromise is, how can we get the most guests per student at this graduation? How can we have the most family members, the younger ones, to inspire them to want to graduate, the older ones for them to be able to enjoy all those years of hard work. This is a piece of you. This is almost like saying thank you for all the hard work you did. If you're out there and you're a grandparent, you did a lot to become one. You lived a lot of years, and you probably had to do a lot of suffering within your time and a lot of sacrificing. And this is like, thank you very much. No way do I want to discount you from this graduation. I don't think any person should. That was my point today. That's what I wanted to get across.
I think you did. I will say that after speaking to my mother and even the Angel a little bit, I did hear that I think it was Garth Brooks is doing concerts now, but he's doing them at drive-ins. I don't know how many of those we have locally, but I guess
Actually, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where the compromise comes into play. Is I think that they, and if they weren't aware before, they're probably going to be aware now of how passionate everybody is in that particular circle, and they're going to have to rethink things, or they should, anyways. I don't know if they will or won't, but my hope is that they will. I don't know what the solution looks like, but I do believe that there is a solution in there somewhere. But in order to find that, they're going to have to compromise, and I think both sides are going to have to compromise. And what I'm hearing from you is that your side, and I'm just lumping you guys together at the point for discussion purposes, but your side sounds like they are willing to compromise, meaning, hey, if we got to be in our cars, we'll be in our cars. If we have to wear masks, we'll wear masks. So it sounds like your side is willing to compromise to where,
because we already did.
Your need at this point is your need to feel like everybody in your family is included. Your want is to be comfortable and everything else, but you're willing to give up some of those comforts to have the need met. And so I think from the county's perspective, they're going to have to also figure out what their want and their need is and be transparent and come to the table. And I think if they do that, I think a solution is able to be found.
Well, I think because, being a guy that has gone to, I don't know, at least 20 races at the Daytona International Speedway, when you go there, we have the largest infield, right, of any speedway, I think, of any speedway in the nation. And it's huge. It's a 2.5 mile track it has a lake in the middle and everything, but the middle is so huge, right?
There's a lake there?
There's a lake in the middle of that. That's how big it is. And you've been in the middle and you didn't see the lake. That's how big the middle is. That's how big the infield is. There's a lake there. Realistically, you could park every family member from each individual high school in that infield, in all the grounds. You could park them in their car, in the air conditioning, and each graduate can go around the track in their own car. It doesn't matter. There's so many, and what I'm saying is we have the ability to be the most creative as ever. Shouldn't we, as the adults in the equation, just step up to the plate and be adults and get creative in this instead of always trying to fit it back in the same old square? and trying to fit it in the same old box and say, well, this is where we have graduations, so we should do graduations like this. This is how they are. This is how we do it. No, man, let's give these people the most unique graduation ever. Get some creative minds together and figure it out. But I say you're going to have to start with the largest venue in town. Let them turn us down. Let Daytona International Speedway say, nope, we're not going to do it. Too expensive. I just know that's not. They did it with Flagler, so that wasn't the case. Sure. And thank you, Daytona International Speedway, for doing that with Flagler. And here's the other thing: I know our mayor, if he could do something about it, he would. And that's just for New Smyrna Beach. That's not saying I don't know about the others. I don't know these other little towns and stuff. But Volusia County as a whole, hopefully, can do something about this. And if you're out there and you have someone graduating right now, and their graduation was altered, I'd love to hear how it was altered, what creative things they did, because maybe we could take some of those ideas and give it to our county. Maybe we haven't had it yet.
Well, Ashley did comment that she said that my brother didn't have one in Kentucky. Also, big shout out to him. He just joined the military. No visitors allowed. It's killing my mother. She feels she has no voice. So in Kentucky, apparently, I don't know what area of Kentucky, but that particular area that he attended, they didn't have a graduation at all. And I think that has been the case, because it sounds to me that this isn't unique to just Volusia County. It seems like a lot of counties all over the U.S. are dealing with this, and I think that speaks to a bigger picture. Government is not known to compromise very much. There's a lot of red tape. Even Volusia County themselves, we did some work with them as a foundation where we were donating things, and it wasn't easy to do that because there's a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of red tape. And I agree, and I think that, to be honest with you, is a bigger discussion where things should start.
But this isn't government. This is let's know that when you're talking school boards, the school boards are traditionally not known for compromise. School boards are known to tell you how it's going to be at their school. I'm not going to lump them in, but I'm not going to lump them in with city commissioners, and I'm not going to lump them in with mayors, and I'm not going to lump them in with congressmen. I'm not going to lump them in with senators, and I'm not going to lump them in with law enforcement, because they're a very different breed of power source that tends to not move very easily.
Sure.
And so what I'm saying is, the school board, you have our kids, you have control of this situation. But let me tell you something. You know that there's a lot of families out there that didn't know what you were doing with these graduations. And shame on any school board out there that somehow canceled any I hate to hear what I just heard you read about Ashley. For them to have a canceled graduation completely instead of postponing it, instead of being creative about it, that is just very sad. Again, because we knew what we were experiencing while we were in COVID. We knew what was going on. We knew we had an invisible enemy. We knew that it wasn't ending anytime soon. And we knew that come, April, May, June, July, these graduations were coming. We knew they were coming. And that's why I'm saying it's not like, we shouldn't be talking about this in June.
Right.
We should have been talking about it in April, and it should have been in open forum at that point in April, going, hey, if this continues until the summer, until graduation, what do people think should be done? And we would have had all kinds of ideas. And then once the time comes where you have to make decisions, then you put a smaller group together, a think tank, your constituents, your stakeholders.
I'm looking right now in Orange County, and it seems like all the ones in Orange County that I'm looking at all did virtual graduations. I'm looking at Dr. Phillips, East River, Freedom, Apopka, Beta, Project Compass, Simon Ude, Universal Ed, University, Olympia, Winter Park, Excel East, Excel West, Colonial, Cypress Creek, Edgewater, Jones, Wekiva, it says virtual.
Stupid.
So, I mean, I think that goes to show that this isn't a specific to your county.
I never thought it was. I never thought it was. I don't feel like
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about our listeners. It's not just our counties. It's probably a county where you live as well. So it seems like this is a nationwide problem that maybe we need to address as a community as a whole. And I agree with you. The way we go about it is first of all, speaking, using your voice, while at the same token using your vote. I think that's how we do make change.
Yeah, but vote for the right thing. We're talking superintendent of schools and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. I want to separate it. I don't want to make people try to turn this into Obama-Trump thing. This is the superintendent of schools kind of thing, So anyway, yeah, for all those counties that are doing that, I want to hear. Please reach out to me directly at the dope doctor or whatever, or at the Dharma Guy. Tell us how they're doing it in your county. Because here's the deal. To hear that they were canceling when you could do a drive-through, you could do a drive-by, you could do all kinds of things. The ceremonies can be still in your car. How are we doing the testing? How is testing being done? Have you gone to the Volusia County Fairgrounds and seen how they do testing? Oh, I'm sorry, Volusia County Fairgrounds? Did you just say there's a large piece of ground that realistically the student could still stay in their car with their family? They could stay in their car with the family, and you could come around and you can give each student their diploma. You could drive around and give each person their diploma while they're on the fairgrounds. It's a huge area, man. I'm talking about there's other ways to do it. I'm not going to pretend that I know the right way. I'm not going to pretend that I know the best way to do this. But what I'm saying is you can't just use the reasoning of COVID-19, because if you're going to say that, then you're going to have to ask yourself, well, when did you know about that? And when did you hear about that? And what other alternatives did you even investigate? And how do you know? How do you even know? Because half the world doesn't even believe in this COVID right now. Half the country's like done. They're so done hearing it because.
Full disclosure, I've been to the grocery store numerous times, and there's many people at the grocery stores, and most of them aren't wearing masks.
Dude, look, we were being told when all the businesses started wanting to open up their businesses and started opening up their business and protesting. We heard madness. COVID, stay in your homes. Don't protest. Get back home. And then all of a sudden, when the protest switched to another issue, the same people that were saying go back home are saying, no, go protest. That's fine. That's the American way. That's in the silliness we're in. That's so I don't want to get stuck. I don't want this family thing that I'm talking about, this graduation, get stuck in that stupid political crap. But because most parents and most families are just law-abiding, regular, good citizens, they're just going to take the hit from whoever says take it and not do anything about it. That's what it's looking like. Because they're on Facebook, and instead of creating a thing like this, like what we're doing, and getting on the phones like I did earlier, they're just trying to negotiate. Hey, I just need a couple tickets. Anybody got a couple tickets? I need 2 tickets for Spruce Creek High School. I need 2 tickets for New Smyrna Beach High School. Anybody got an extra ticket? Anybody have a third family member that's not going to go because we got a 4th family member that wants to go? What kind of crap is that? I'm not doing that. So, anyway.
Yeah. Any last words you want to say to wrap up for compromise?
I'm going to say that unfortunately, here's the norm, and this is why sometimes then people just get popped off and they get real upset and finally they do something real drastic. Because, like what Ashley was saying earlier, sometimes it feels like the people that are the most law-abiding and the ones that are most respectful of structure and the way things should be are the ones often crapped on the most. For instance, if you go to a restaurant and you get poor service, but you don't complain because it's not that big of a deal. I'm just not going to complain. Nothing happens. Then another person, same exact instant, wants to be a little jackass about it, starts yelling and complaining. Then they get something free, or they got a discount. In other words, we're so used to celebrating or incentivizing poor behavior, bad behavior, or loud behavior instead of just law-abiding good behavior. Look, don't mistake passion and getting loud out of passion for being disobedient and ornery and not listening. That's not the case. What it is I'm going to damn well make sure that my passion is understood and known. Because when you just sit back and be vanilla and always compromising in a calm way, you often won't get anything. You often won't have anything happen. And that's why the good parts of the protests happen, and that's why the good parts of the protests are good. And because some people need it real loud, that's why this other stuff is happening. Look, shut that down. Listen to the people that are having good points, like these families that are saying, all we want is another way. All we want is another way. And so for Volusia County schools and any other county that's having a graduation, for all graduates that are graduating, I'm sorry that it ever happened to you. Hopefully you had the best year instead of the worst year. Hopefully you could look at it like I had an extended summer vacation with just a little bit of work in between. Hopefully you enjoyed the time with your family. You got to spend time with your family, because once you graduate, we get old, man. We get old real quick. You leave high school. It's amazing how fast life goes after you leave high school. It just goes like this. Boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, you're 20, 21, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50, and it goes by really fast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you'll forever have the coolest graduating class ever because of what you've went through. This is a crazy year. It's only 6 months in. It's been the craziest year I've ever lived in my lifetime. And, for all the parents, do what we got to do. Let's get loud. Let's get proud. Let's make it happen. That's it.
Right on, right on. Yeah, well, first off, I'm going to say thank you to everybody for tuning in today. I know today was a bit of a different format, or different time anyways. Once again, Louis just got some prior engagements he's got to be to tomorrow with family. And so we decided to do it today. And different time, different day, and everything else. So by all means, I thank you for sharing and tuning in. And for any new visitors who are watching us for the first time, thank you for tuning in as well. Make sure to follow us on social media. That's at the Dharma Guy, at the Dope Doctor, at WPSN99, and why don't you go ahead and follow at nonmattersmore.org, or nonmattersmore, excuse me, because that's what we do when we're not doing this, helping people get treatment that they need. So as far as compromise, I just think that instead of doing the 3 tips today, I'm just going to talk about it as a whole. In life, we're going to have tons of compromises, man. Whether you realize it or not, whether you want to or not, there's tons of compromises that we all have to do every day. Some are more important than others, but I think it's important to have those compromises. And I think oftentimes in a compromise, you're going to have to listen before you talk. And when you listen, that's how you hear the other perspective, and vice versa. And that's how both sides feel heard, feel at least some sort of validation. Listening to somebody doesn't mean that you agree with them. Listening just means you're giving them their opportunity to speak. And then when you do hear that, try to hear in what they're telling you what they need. And then that way you could better kind of come up with your end of the negotiation, your part of the compromise. Because at the end of the day, you're both going to have to get something, but you're also going to have to give up something. And yes, listener earlier, Ashley was commenting about not being steamrolled. I think it is important to have your voice. It is important to step up for what you believe in. It is important to hold steadfast on things that you absolutely need, quote unquote deal breakers, if you will. And there's ways of doing that skillfully, where you don't offend anybody and you don't alienate yourself. And in that sense, it is an art form. It is a skill set, and the more you do it, the better you're going to be at it. As far as this particular situation is concerned, if anybody's watching this from Volusia County or any other county for that matter, feel free to share this around. But it's time to rethink things, right? We're in 2020. The book, if you will, has been thrown out the window. It's time to reevaluate some things. If you're going to do something crazy, now's the time. We can probably get away with it. Rethink how you do things. Get outside the box. Create some real change. We have so many tools at our advantage. We have so many open hearts at this time. And so now might be the time to take advantage of that. Now might be the time to, like, for instance, in Volusia County, reach out to Daytona International Speedway. You never know. They might feel that, hey, you know what, this is a good opportunity for us to build more community. They might throw it in for free, or at such a discounted rate, it's actually cheaper than where you're going. But you won't know until you ask, and you won't ask until you start to think outside the box. And I think that's important. So I think that's all we got for today. Thank you for tuning in. We'll probably stick around for just a couple minutes afterwards, but we do need to end the show part. So for everybody who's watching, now that you know better, do better. Peace. Are you still here? What are you doing? I told you, go do better.